What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice.
4 Venezuelans linked to a Mexican cartel were plotting something terrifying near New Mexico schools until ICE agents kicked in the door. Inside, they uncovered a massive weapon arsenal, triggering a nationwide investigation and the largest ICE operation the state has ever seen. Just after midnight in a quiet Albuquerque neighborhood, an ordinary night almost became a catastrophic nightmare. ICE agents, executing a warrant at an apartment, found a pistol fitted with a 19-round extended magazine. The real shock came when agents realized that it was just one of several loaded firearms secretly hidden inside the apartment. Each one was ready to fire, stored in a home just blocks away from schools, playgrounds, and family homes. That single discovery forced investigators to widen the probe, and within days, the case snowballed into a multi-city, multi-agency campaign that culminated in one of the largest federal enforcement actions New Mexico has ever seen. It all began as a targeted Homeland Security investigation search on September 25, 2025. The agents assigned to the case expected a routine search, a few arrests, a quick cleanup, and the takedown of a small criminal network. What they didn't know is that this exercise would evolve rapidly and reveal signs of an organized weapons pipeline. They had just stumbled into a network involving multiple residences with guns and ammunition, travel and transaction records across state lines, and documents suggesting coordinated distribution. Everything was laid bare for everyone to see. This was not a small-grade criminal operation. It was a well-coordinated effort involving hundreds of individuals tied to an international criminal organization. Agents pieced together a pattern that looked less like isolated crime and more like a trafficking network moving weapons between New Mexico, neighboring states, and even into other countries within the region. Even more shocking was the sign of preparedness in plain sight. There were other weapons at the ready, magazines extended, as well as the unmistakable presence of an armed cell embedded right at the heart of a sleeping community that believes it was safe. By now, it was clear that this was just the tip of the iceberg and the beginning of a story where danger was already knocking at America's door. The sense of safety that the community felt was nothing more than a facade. Agents quickly arrested the 4 individuals they found inside the apartment. Later, it was discovered they were of Venezuelan descent and were in the country illegally. However, the case was not about to stop that. Behind the scenes, investigators began piecing together evidence that these operatives were linked to a Mexican cartel cell that was preparing to smuggle illegal cargo from the United States into Venezuela. A host of documentation seized from the apartment showed well-structured patterns of movement between New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, and beyond. It was also clear that this was not a one-way activity. Investigators discovered that profits and contrabands came north, while arms and other illicit goods made their way to a criminal network in South American countries. This discovery turned out to be another part of the puzzle that federal agents had solved. In the last few months, there had been a sharp spike in contraband shipments moving north from Venezuela. This made President Trump order airstrikes, where multiple boats and submarines were bombed by the United States Air Force before making their way into America. Intelligence briefings had also revealed that high-value goods, narcotics, and even modified firearms were being funneled through a chain of intermediaries stretching from South America to the US border. Needless to say, this was not a mere coincidence. It mirrored the tactics of a notorious Venezuelan-based criminal network known as Cartel de los Soles. This criminal organization has long been accused of partnering with Mexican cartels to move weapons and cash across borders, often leaving a trail of bloodshed and lifelong trauma whenever confronted. For the federal agents, this pattern was unmistakable. It was proof of a new trafficking corridor that was taking shape right under the noses of those tasked with stopping such activities. One pressing question remains: how deep did this go, and how many more Americans were at risk? In the days that followed, federal agents from ICE, ATF, FBI, CBP, and the US Marshal Service launched what would become the largest coordinated law enforcement action in the history of New Mexico. They singled out multiple sites across New Mexico and organized a synchronized raid that would be conducted on the dawn of September 28, 2025. They struck at the same time to prevent suspects from tipping off each other or fleeing. The operation was conducted with utmost precision, and by midday, the results stunned officials. In total, 48 individuals were taken into custody, including 21 Venezuelans who already had final deportation orders. In addition to that, the raid resulted in the discovery of a massive haul of evidence that would help to build a strong case against those arrested and against Cartel de los Soles. The seized evidence included automatic weapons, extended capacity magazines, encrypted communication devices, and financial ledgers showing movement of tons of illicit goods. Just when the team of agents thought it had gotten to the bottom of the matter, yet another shocker dropped. They found evidence that linked some of those arrested to another Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, known for prison-born origins and expansion into the US via migration flows. The sophistication of this network practically went beyond what anyone comprehended. Before elaborating on this collaboration, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss future updates like this one. Things only get deeper from here on, and what comes next changes everything. The news of these raids soon reached the Oval Office, prompting an immediate and forceful response from the highest level. President Trump vowed that any vessel found transporting contraband into the United States would be stopped, no matter where. In the weeks that followed, American forces struck at sea, including a widely publicized attack on a boat off the Venezuelan coast, which the US military claimed was carrying narcotics and crude by members of the Tren de Aragua destined for the US. And that was not all. A few days later, a second strike targeted another vessel, identified in intelligence as bound for US shores with illegal cargo. In both of the strikes, the message was clear. The crackdown had moved from apartments in New Mexico to high-stakes maritime operations, and the era of safe harbors for transnational crime syndicates was over. Despite all these, one question could not be ignored. Was this discovery a sign of an ineffective system of stopping such criminal activities before they went this far? In the wake of the New Mexico takedown, federal leaders described the operation as more than a single victory. To them, it was a blueprint for dismantling transnational crime across the United States. It was also a testament to the effectiveness of each agency involved in this takedown in helping enhance overall security throughout the United States. Every weapon seized during the operation carried more than metal and ammunition. It was a representation of serious danger neutralized, a potential massacre avoided, and a family spared from violence. Every suspect arrested brought a measure of healing to communities that might have otherwise become battlefields. It proved that criminal networks lose their advantages when law enforcement agencies act in synchrony. Yet security experts and analysts argued that this case showed one thing: foreign criminal organizations were becoming more comfortable in embedding themselves in US neighborhoods, importing weapon arsenals, and establishing armed cells from Florida to Illinois. Recent studies further confirmed this warning, showing that firearms originating in the United States continue to fuel cartel activity and cross-border smuggling, undermining public safety both abroad and at home. But the question looms: should the model used in New Mexico be scaled nationwide to hunt down and dismantle similar entrenched networks before they establish new footholds?